From Studio 2 at the worldwide headquarters of ESPN.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Raising Cane studio.
Let's rock! Go!
Off and running hour number 3 after further review here on a Tuesday. We're presented by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. Musso in for Moscona. Moscona's back tomorrow. He's traveling today out to Super Bowl 60. So on Wednesday, we'll begin our live coverage from Radio Row, counting you down to Seahawks and Patriots. Be sure to be back for that. If you're just knocking off work, getting into your car, your drive home, we appreciate you making us a part of that. Taylor Sharp, Paul O'Neill along for the ride as well. 2 great hours in the book, and still one more here to go on this Tuesday. Want to dive into a piece here from CBS Sports dealing with SEC schedules. So obviously, look, the Southeastern Conference going to 9 games, a conference schedule here in 2026, a change that I think many have lauded. I'm in favor of it. I know a lot of the coaches were in favor of it, and with the playoff expanding to 12 teams, that's really what ultimately pushed it across the finish line. You weren't going to guarantee half your league another loss without an assurance of an expanded playoff, more opportunities for potential 3-loss teams, things of that nature to get in. And look, you saw that this season. In some cases, Alabama was a 3-loss team. Now they were 10-2 in the regular season, but it's a 3-loss team getting into the college football playoff. Now you could see that with a regular season team. Potentially. But what's interesting in terms of scheduling in the SEC is also you have 6 new head coaches. 6. You turned over almost half the league's head coaches. That is wild to think about. And CBS took a stab at ranking the strength of schedule for the new head coaches. Arkansas and Ryan Silverfield are staring down the hardest schedule in the conference. And that's not surprising. Arkansas' schedule is always one of the hardest in the countries, and it is again. It's just the Razorbacks never have it easy. They always have it tough, and that's going to be the case. If you're wondering about LSU, CBS has LSU and Lane Kiffin with the easiest schedule out of the new head coaches in the SEC. This is something that Lane Kiffin would put on Twitter with the rat poison emojis. Oh, I'm not here to give Lane Kiffin and LSU rat poison because I disagree with this. I don't think LSU's schedule is easy. I don't think it's the easiest out of the new head coaches either. This is something we've seen in the recent days, that somehow LSU's 2026 schedule is easier than expected or easier than previously thought. And I'm just not there. You know, we had the piece last week about ranking strength of schedule based on your opponent's odds to win the national championship. And I understand, like, on paper, looking at this, you can see LSU and you go, oh, they don't have Georgia. They don't have Oklahoma. Is Oklahoma really in the same vein as Georgia? To be like, oh, no Georgia, no Oklahoma. Oklahoma was a playoff team last year. LSU wasn't very good, and LSU almost went into Norman and won that game. I look at LSU's schedule and I see this. I see some really tough stretches. You look early in the season, you go at Ole Miss and follow that up with a game at home against Texas A&M. That's tough. Like, that's brutal. That is going to be a very emotionally charged atmosphere in Oxford when you go there. That is going to be a very emotional and physical football game. And then you will come back and play a team in Texas A&M that was a playoff team a year ago with Marcel Reed back at quarterback, who, by the way, has cooked you for 2 straight years. We really just scribbling W's next to that. You have to go to Auburn. It is never easy to play in Jordan-Hare. That place is haunted. I think we all understand that. And then your month of November is just brutal. Is Alabama going to be down this year? Maybe. Yeah. I mean, I think a lot of people are predicting that. They weren't very good a year ago. And they went to the college football playoff and won a game in the college football playoff. Texas might be the best team in the league. You have that game right after Alabama, and then you have back-to-back road conference games to finish things out at Tennessee, at Arkansas. That is tough stretches. You have four conference home games. Yeah, well, you don't have Georgia on the schedule. And only 4 of your opponents finished inside the AP top 25 a year ago. You look at this and you have 3 playoff teams on your schedule from a year ago. So the 4 that did were playoff teams and 4 home conference games. That's it. Others have 5. I look at this and I'm telling you right now, I look at a team like Auburn and Alex Golish and their schedule, and I think that is tougher. I think it's tougher than LSU's. So I wouldn't put LSU as the easiest. I'd have them in front of Auburn, and that's what I'm trying to say. But you look at a team like Auburn, they likewise 4 home conference games. You open up a neutral site against Baylor. It's Atlanta, so it really won't actually be neutral, but it's not a home game. They have to go to Tennessee, to Georgia, to Ole Miss, and to Alabama. You compare that to LSU's conference games. I mean, Auburn's got a really tough one. Florida was 4th on this list. And theirs isn't really that bad. But I mean, I might, they have likewise 4 home conference games, but they have a road trip to Texas and Auburn in conference. Other than that, you get Ole Miss at home, you get South Carolina. It's like theirs isn't that bad. I could make an argument though that Auburn and LSU should be flip-flopped here. Just given the home and road opponents. But I understand that all SEC schedules are difficult. Like none of them are created equal. But this is the second time now that you've seen LSU ranked in like an easiest schedule. And I guess somebody has to have the quote-unquote easiest. I don't believe it's LSU. For the stretches that we just went through. And some of the players that you're going to face who have given you problems in the past, like a Marcel Reed. When there's still so many questions to be answered. And there's questions to be answered about all these teams. That's why it's the new head coaches. Poor Arkansas, man. Good Lord. Y'all seen Arkansas' schedule? This is their second game of the season. They go to Utah.
It's a fun little out-of-conference game.
They go to Utah, and then they come home to face Georgia. Like, I mean, every year, man. Every year, Arkansas just gets the shortest end of the shortest stick when it comes to scheduling.
They do. Florida's actually got a little bit of relief.
Yeah.
Theirs has been tough, but yeah, Arkansas just help them out a bit.
It's LSU and Auburn in terms of who has the easiest and the new head coaches. But I mean, you're splitting hairs there, but neither of the schedules are easy. I guess is kind of the point. But I mean, you can make a case for those two to be flip flopped. The four home conference games for LSU, man, that stinks. And you don't. I mean, outside of Georgia, you don't really dodge anybody else on your schedule. Like, you get A&M, you get Bama, you get Texas. Like, you get the top of the league that you're looking for there. So it's just, I tell you what's taking a hit is LSU's non-conference scheduling next year. Because, I mean, I don't think many people are expecting much from Clemson. I saw a look-ahead line for that game last week. LSU was favored by 10.5. That'll come down. Like, I think it'll come down. But, I mean, there's just not a high expectation there. So, I mean, LSU should easily, I won't say easily, they should be 2-0 heading into that game against Ole Miss. That's where everything changes with this schedule. I think the stretches, I just look at the stretches in LSU's schedule, and I think those, I think LSU stretches in their schedule are a little bit more difficult than Auburn. Auburn has a really brutal stretch in the middle of the year where they play 3 out of 4 on the road, and their home game is against LSU. But the back half of their schedule, man, is Arkansas State, Samford, and then you obviously have the Iron Bowl. Like, you can make some hay at the end, depending on how things go with Alex Golish. That's honestly why I think Auburn's is easier, is because their November just is not what LSU's November is.
Yeah, 4 weeks in a row, LSU's got Bama, Texas, Tennessee, Arkansas, back-to-back. And you could say, okay, well, you end at Arkansas. They always make that a dogfight.
It always is. It always is, and I am not happy to see that game at the end of the regular season again because of what it means. And I know Tennessee might not have Joey Aguilar. That's great. That's fine. You're still going on the road in the SEC. It's going to be cold up in Knoxville at that time of the year, and you're coming off of games against Alabama and Texas. Like, you are going to be beat up. So that's like, when I look at Auburn, their November is just way more manageable with Arkansas State, Samford, and Alabama than LSU's is. But look, they'll go out there on the field. They'll play the games. We'll see. Just something I found interesting, because all of a sudden their schedule's being looked upon as the easiest out of a certain category, and I just could not disagree more. It would not surprise me if LSU's a 9-3 team next year. Like, that would not surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me if they were 10-2. But there's fluctuation there between both records. Never seen a more square peg, round hole than college football's postseason. I get it. It is a song we sing all the time, familiar refrain, beat the same drum. I understand. But the reason that happens is because the powers that be continue to screw it up every chance they get. We knew the college football playoff national championship for this season was going to be really late, January 25th. We knew that. Now we have the rest of the dates for 2026 this season and for 2027, and they suck. Like, all of this just screws everything up. The calendar continues to be broken beyond belief, and every chance they try to get to fix it, or what they think they're fixing, they screw it up even more. So, you will have 38 days between the first round of the college football playoff and the national championship game. And y'all, that's not even the bad part. Like, that's not even the part that aggravates me most about this. Don't get me wrong, that's absurd. Like, that is ridiculous that you're going to have more than a month. Your playoffs are going to take more than a month when it's only 12 teams. Do you realize the NFL playoffs don't take a month? You go into the regular season, wild card, divisional, AFC championship, and you know who's in the Super Bowl. The only reason it takes long is because you have the week off in between the Super Bowl and the championship weekend. That's it. You are talking more than a month to get through a 12-team playoff. That in of itself is absurd. But that's not my main gripe with this. For the 2026 national quarterfinals, they will begin on December 30th with the Fiesta Bowl. And that's the one game. Then you'll have a day off on New Year's Eve and go to New Year's Day, and you'll have the Cotton, the Peach, and the Rose. Because we know the Rose Bowl has to play on New Year's Day. And this is where it gets the most absurd. So the quarterfinals will wrap up on New Year's Day, January 1st. And then you will have a 2-week break until you get to the semifinals, which begin on the 14th with the Sugar Bowl. With the Orange Bowl, and then the Sugar Bowl on the 15th. 2 weeks in between your quarterfinals and your semifinals. And if you want to know the reason why, I got the reason why for you. Just turn to Rich Clark, the College Football Playoff Executive Director's statement, and the first line of his statement reads, quote, "These dates allow us to maintain competitive balance." It's the transfer portal. That's what it is. That's why. Look at the dates. It's the portal window. The portal window that they had to consolidate down to one, eliminate the spring, and put it right in the middle of the playoff. So their solution to this, since you had semifinals being played during the transfer portal window this past year, their solution is, well, just push the semifinals back 2 weeks. Let the teams, let the coaches, let the front offices, they all can work their rosters and get them all in order, and then they can play the semifinals. No, that's stupid. That's dumb. You know why? Because of what that does in turns is it pushes everything else back. And then you're playing a national championship game on January 25th when semesters have already started and players need to be enrolled. You're going to have the last game of the season happening when a new semester's going on. You know what it's going to lead to? It's going to lead to the thing that people hate most of all. More players on the teams playing for a national championship entering the transfer portal early. Why? Because they have to be enrolled at their new school. You're playing the championship game when semesters have started. What are you doing? It literally makes no sense whatsoever. The NFL will have their championship weekend established. You will know the teams playing in the AFC and NFC championships before you crown a college football national champion. And I'm telling you, you're going to see, because, yeah, you'll have the 5-day window after the national championship game to enter the portal, like you saw for Miami and Indiana players this year. But guess what? The semester will have already started. You're going to see more players enter. They have completely ruined all of this. Like, I truly wonder, you've heard a lot of people talk about putting the transfer portal before the playoff. I truly wonder if they didn't have this right at the beginning with the spring window. I understand that makes it a lot more difficult for guys to come in and contribute immediately. Like, I get that. But you saw it. Like, you saw it happen. I know you want them there for spring. I get it. But there has to be some give and take. And the only way for the window to work the way you have it now is for the season to end on January 1st. Lane Kiffin had a tweet about these dates earlier today. And tore it to shreds. Somehow, he said somehow the schedule got worse. Somehow the calendar got even worse on purpose. Kids play until January 25th and have almost a month between the games. In 38 days, you got more than a month, Lane. Square peg, round hole. Trying to fix something that isn't broken. Well, I don't want to say it isn't broken. There's plenty broken. That's the part of this whole segment. But it just feels like the fix is right there. And they keep just trying to dance around it and do anything they can to not put the fix in place that makes the most sense. I mean, you literally have a sport. You're literally looking at a sport now in football that kicks off in the fall semester and will end in the spring semester. And it's not like basketball that does that, where it starts in November and it's mainly really a spring sport. No, you're going to play the entire regular season in the fall semester and then the postseason in the spring semester. That's patently absurd. Like, that's fundamentally insane. Why? Start the season in week 0. You can add another bye week for rest and recovery. Right after conference championship weekend or whatever would be play-in weekend or whatever, start the college football playoff. Play it on a weekly basis. You don't need this 2-week gap in between the quarterfinals and the semifinals. You play games back-to-back weeks, literally the entire season, except for one in most years. It's possible. It's doable with rest and recovery. Like, it's a thing that happens. A lot of these players go to the NFL, and then they have to do 18 weeks with one bye. Like, it can be done. Spare me the player safety. Spare me all of that. And end your season on January 1st. Have the portal open. Don't play a game in the spring semester where you risk more players entering the transfer portal. And let's just solve this problem. The final point here is the other part of Rich Clark's statement. After he talked about allowing to maintain competitive balance, he also mentions that this is going to, quote, maximize the fan experience and provide consistency for everyone involved in the playoff. Maximize fan experience. The fans are going to forget the game's coming. You're 38 days. Rich, what was the story in the sports world? What was the story in the sports world on the day of the national championship game this year? Where you had an ultimate underdog story in Indiana, who's just been a perennial doormat for their entire history, about to win a national championship, on the precipice of doing that. Miami, who was arguably the last team in the field, not arguably, they were the last team in the field, made a run and is playing for national championship. Rich, what was the story? The Bills fired Sean McDermott. That was the story. That's all anyone wanted to talk about. Because your playoff had drug on through the NFL playoffs to where the Bills were eliminated and they could finally pull the trigger on firing their coach. That's all anyone wanted to talk about. Nobody was talking about Miami and Indiana. Maximize the fan experience. What are you talking about? Does this somehow make it more affordable for fans to go to the game? No. What fan experience are you talking about? Your game is played in the shadows because y'all can't get it right and move it up to an appropriate date where you can have your own moment. Absurd. It sucks, man. They keep. And the thing is, they think they're doing it right. Like that, they actually think this is good. They actually think they fixed something with this, when in actuality, all it did was get worse. And it's the same thing in 2027. 2027, the playoffs start on New Year's Eve. The championship game's on January 24th. And you have that same 2-week gap in between your quarterfinals and your semifinals. If this playoff expanding more leads to change in this calendar, then then I'm with you. I'm bummed it didn't happen this go round. But I don't think it does. I think all that's going to do is complicate the calendar even more because they can't see what's in front of them. They can't figure out a way to get to an easier path through this. And head coaches talk about it. Joey McGuire from Texas Tech was on this show talking about that he wanted the season to start in week 0 and end on New Year's Day. No. The portal. We know a way around it. 2 weeks in between the quarterfinals and the that'll fix it. No, it's going to make it worse. It's going to make it worse. One day. I'm sure we'll sing the same refrain. Probably this summer when they screw it up some other way.
After further review, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
We're brought to you by Supper Club. You can book your reservation, supperclubbtr.com, supperclubbtr.com. One of the things about Supper Club that I love is if you want to go to Supper Club and be a baller, you can do it. You want to go to Supper Club and order a $5,000 bottle of Chateau Lafite Rothschild? You can do it. You want to go have $400 shots of cognac? You can do it. You can have experiences at Supper Club that usually are reserved for Las Vegas and New York and Paris and Abu Dhabi. Like, that's here in Baton Rouge. But the thing you got to remember as well, if you want to go to Supper Club and have the best steak of your life and have a few appetizers, a dessert, bottle of wine, you can do it as affordably as any other restaurant in town. But the experience at Supper Club is unmatched. Introduced open seating at the bar, first come, first serve. So if you knock off of work, you want to head by Supper Club, you can walk in without a reservation, see if you can grab a bar stool or a table by the bar as well. Have a great dinner, maybe cocktail, close some business. Book your reservation, supperclubbtr.com, supperclubbtr.com.
All right, we continue here after further review. Musso in for Moscona. The reason is because Matt's on his way to the Super Bowl, and that's what we're going to talk about right here. Super Bowl Sunday, February 8th, this weekend. Seahawks and Patriots. Get you an update here on the odds. Seahawks now a 4.5-point favorite, odds courtesy of DraftKings in this game. It opened up 3.5, so it is gone up. I will tell you, I'm still relatively torn on this game. I mean, I think my gut tells me Seattle, and the Seahawks, they're playing the best football of anybody right now. I mean, by evidence by them in the Super Bowl, but I just mean like down the stretch. I mean, you look at Seattle's run through the playoffs, man, and it's division foes, and they just put it on the 49ers, who were banged up and whatnot. But I mean, you saw San Francisco go on the road and win a game to get to that point, even banged up, knocking off the defending champs. And then the Rams with Matthew Stafford, who, I mean, in my opinion, should be the MVP of the league. I mean, that's a heck of a path. And neither of those games were really, I mean, in doubt. Once you had the fumbled punt and the Seahawks were able to take a 2-possession lead, they kept the Rams just at arm's length that entire game. They are playing very, very good football and have been playing the best football in these playoffs. So my gut says that. But, man, you look at New England, and they just keep finding a way to win. Drake May has not played very well in the postseason. There's been obviously some weather conditions they've dealt with, whether it be their home game against the Texans, obviously the snowstorm they played through in Denver, but it's largely been on the back of their defense that they've won. So I mean, you look at this, the strength of Seattle is defense. I think you have. I mean, who do you give the quarterback edge to in this? I mean, Drake May could win the MVP. Sam Darnold has been really good this year and just continues to not get any credit for it. I mean, he's got his team on the doorstep of a Super Bowl. You have Justin Jefferson saying publicly that the Vikings would have been better had Sam Darnold been there instead of J.J. McCarthy. It might not be what you want on the marquee, but there are no shortage of storylines in this Super Bowl. Let's start, kind of with Sam Darnold, who continues to not get the credit that, I mean, at this point, how can you say he doesn't deserve it? And he's had one heck of a journey through the NFL, coming out of USC with the Jets. I mean, you had obviously a stint there with the Panthers, had his kind of breakout with the Vikings, and man, he followed that up, and a lot of people didn't think that he could. Here's Sam Darnold talking about that journey he's been on in the NFL.
I take every experience as its own. No matter what happens, I was really blessed to be able to get drafted to the Jets. Obviously, things didn't work out the way that I wanted to there, and then I went to the Carolina Panthers, where I made a lot of great friends. I learned some really good football as well, just part of my journey, and then went to San Francisco. Was able to be a backup there and for a great player in Brock Purdy, learn under a great coach in Kyle Shanahan, Brian Griese, the Kubiaks, obviously. And then I went to Minnesota, and again, I was with some really great coaches, some really great players as well. I think everything I do, I just take it one day at a time, and I think that's kind of the mantra for myself and what I've been able to do, I guess, over the last couple of years.
I look at this and I say, okay, who gets the quarterback edge? I would give it to Seattle right now for one key statistic, and that's turnovers. Sam Darnold has done an excellent job of protecting the football in the postseason. His real struggle was interceptions this year, 14 interceptions. He has not thrown one in the postseason. 4 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Obviously, Drake May has had his problems with the fumbles here in the postseason and really throughout the entirety of the season. Those kind of have followed him, whereas the interceptions haven't followed Sam Darnold. He's a guy who threw 4,000 yards in the regular season, 25 tuds, and he's completing 70% of his passes in the postseason, 470 yards, and he's doing it with a banged up oblique. It hasn't hampered him very much at all. The deep ball still looks good, but just his ability to protect the football so far in this postseason is one reason that I would give the edge to Sam Darnold when it comes to quarterback matchup in this game. But the other quarterback, Drake May, obviously on the New England Patriots, had a pretty darn good quarterback there for a long time, the greatest of all time in Tom Brady. And Drake May was asked about advice that he's heard from Brady now that the GOAT's former team is back in the Super Bowl.
Tom Brady ever gets me. I've met Tom a few times, and one of the best things he says, there's no shortcuts to it. There's no shortcuts to putting in the work, and now the proof's in the pudding. And knowing that the shortcuts that that people take or can try to take, it's not worth it. To get the most out of what you put into it, and he's been great at that, and he obviously showed that throughout his career.
We'll see with the quarterback matchup, man. Drake May, obviously, no one's going to take it away from him. He's played at an MVP level here in his second season in the NFL. Notable, he is questionable. Drake May is going to play in this game, y'all. Drake May is not going to he's not going to miss the Super Bowl for a little nagging injury that he has with his shoulder. And for what it's worth, the diagnosis for him on Monday was that he threw a good bit, quote, a good bit, and that he felt great. That comes from the Boston Herald with their report. But man, it's a guy, 4,300 yards, 31 touchdowns. Like, he's been awesome. And look, when you have a guy like Tom Brady in your ear, there's no substitute for that kind of advice, that kind of experience. And then there's Mike Vrabel. And Mike Vrabel is one win away from some history here at the Super Bowl, being a guy who can win as a player and as a coach on the same team with the same franchise. And he was asked about being one win away from New England's 7th Lombardi Trophy.
From all my different stops, there's a lot of stops, and everybody has a journey to this league, and my journey is included a lot of different places. And again, I've always said this, that thankful to get my start in the NFL with the Pittsburgh Steelers organization, with Bill Cowher, the Rudy family, to be able to come to New England to be a player here with Bill and Mr. Kraft, and even the time I spent in Kansas City, then the opportunities to coach at Ohio State. So you try to learn and try to pay attention and focus and learn each stop along the way. But then again, you have to make it your own style. So there's things each and every week that I'll draw on. They'll draw on things that we did in Tennessee that we liked, or that I thought maybe resonated with the players. So constantly trying to draw on things to help us.
I liked the beat.
Somebody forgot to turn off the DJ booth. They cut it at the end, though.
I like Vrabel. See, it didn't sound like a bed, like a produced bed under him talking. It sounded like there was
stuff going on in the back,
beat.
yeah.
And I think Vrabel should have started speaking along with the beat, like rapping with it. That would have been awesome. That was cool. But, look, I love Mike Vrabel. I think he's an incredible coach. I thought the Tennessee Titans were ridiculous and just flat out stupid for firing him after he got them to the number 1 seed in the AFC. And I think that the proof is in the pudding there. His first year in New England is able to help rebuild that thing. And he's got him in a Super Bowl. Like, the fact that guy was fired from an NFL job where he, again, had the team as the number 1 seed in the AFC, that is absolutely ridiculous. So I'm very much rooting for Mike Vrabel here. I think it would be awesome to see him kind of make that history, get, one as a player in New England, one as the head coach. That would be really cool. And you listen to Vrabel speak, and he's a guy I can understand why guys want to play for him, and just a down-to-earth, really good guy. So, again, it's not the names you want on the marquee for a Super Bowl, really, but, man, it's not void of storylines. No Super Bowl ever is. So, we'll see. They'll tee it up, kick it off, Super Bowl Sunday, February 8th. That's this weekend. After the Pro Bowl, of course. The all-important Pro Bowl, where you have quarterbacks who miss 9 games and threw more interceptions than touchdowns playing. Pro Bowl, really important.
Justin Herbert almost made it. Justin Fields, sorry.
Yeah.
Our guy almost made it.
How many games he played this year?
I don't know. He wasn't very good.
No. I get it, man. It draws numbers. We talked about this a little bit yesterday during Tigers and the Pros when Joey B ended up getting the invite. It still draws numbers on TV. I get it. Like, the Pro Bowl is going to draw like 8 million viewers. Like, I understand. That's fine. It's just not an honor anymore. Like, it is just never meant less to earn a nod to the Pro Bowl. That's a shame, because being an all-star in your sport, that should mean something. Like, that means something in literally every other sport except the NFL. But you have the all-pro teams for that, and that's your high honor is the AP all-pro teams. But I don't know. I wish the Pro Bowl could mean a little bit more than it does. Super Bowl 60 Sunday, Pat Seahawks live coverage. Matt, Radio Row, the rest of this week starting tomorrow. We're going to grab a break. Come back on the other side. We'll wrap it up. Otter Locks. We'll see what we're betting on tonight. Get Jimmy's take to close out the Tuesday edition of AFR, presented by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
After further review, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
Love telling you about Arco Power Systems, ARCCO, arco.com, arco.com. That's Arco Power Systems. We talk about generators a lot in Louisiana, especially all along the Gulf Coast, where we're sort of in this storm belt right here in the Gulf Coast. Well, of course, a lot of people have home standby generators. When we talk about Arco Power Systems, these are not home standby generators. This is industrial generator power. This is for your business. Just think about it. When the power goes out, be it a hurricane, an ice storm, snow like we had last year, power goes out. What do you do with your business? Well, being offline is not an option. That's why you need Arco Power Systems. ARCCO, arco.com, arco.com, arco.com. Just look at all the locations. Baton Rouge, Bossier, Harvey, Lake Charles, Mandeville, Mobile, LaPorte, Texas, San Antonio, Little Rock, Houston, Dallas. They're everywhere. So if you're a business and you need standby power for your business, you need Arco Power Systems. ARCCO, arco.com, arco.com, arco.com.
All right, home stretch here of a Tuesday edition of AFR. We'll wrap it up the only way we know how, with Otter Locks.
Otter Locks.
All right, time to win some money.
Presented by Total Maintenance AC Repair. Same-day service means you will never sleep hot. 480-1000. We are Total Maintenance.
I think it's safe to say that I won the bet.
Super Tuesday in college basketball means we have a smorgasbord. Otter, how are you?
What's up, man? How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing awesome. Not gonna lie, I peeked at Otter Locks on the website earlier. Saw an alt line parlay. Got really excited, Otter. Got pretty fired up about that. What are we looking at tonight?
College hoops. Although got quite a few teams off. They got this week or next week where every team is going to have a week off. So they scheduled that way to start on a Saturday, end on a Saturday. So a little less than normal, but let's get right to it. Let's start with our alt line parlay. This is going to pay basically even money, but just a few games that are kind of lopsided. Certainly don't want to lay a big number, and really not comfortable in the team that they're playing that's going to even cover the number. UConn's at home against Xavier. They're rolling. They're consistent. Hurley's not going to allow his team to just take anybody for granted. Way too big of a number to lay, but certainly I think they'll have no problems at home in stores against the Musketeers. UCLA at home against Rutgers. So Rutgers,
1 minute remaining.
Road trip from Piscataway to L.A. UCLA at home. Virginia at home against Pitt. The only road team in this alt line, money line parlay. And you have to go to lines because I've brought the numbers down to significant numbers on all of these. But St. Louis is the only money line. They go on the road to Davidson quickly. The other three picks are straight up. USC minus 1.5. It's plus now 1.5 at some places now. But they're at home against Indiana. Indiana double overtime in Los Angeles Saturday. They're on the road a lot. We'd like USC to bounce back. Ole Miss plus 12.5. One of our contributing handicappers, Ace Seminara, gave them out clear today at Tennessee. Big number. And then Wade's crew, NC State minus 1.5 at SMU. SMU's lost their last 4 out of 7 in conference play. The Wolfpack we have won 4 in a row in the ACC.
Where are you tomorrow? Quickly, Otter.
All right, we're at Modesto.
Modesto. All right. Y'all get over there and see the guys. Thank you, Otter.
AFR,